Well, today I have with me Jake Clendenning. Is that how you say your name?
Clendenning, that's the one, man.
Clendenning. Jake Clendenning, and you are CEO of CT Impact. You are also the host of a podcast named Total Disruption.
Hmm.
And well, you just happen to be a father too. And I've reached out to a group on Facebook and was looking for people to talk to. And you come up and I noticed some things like you were from Wyoming. I've never been to Wyoming. I thought that was interesting and just good conversations with good people. That's what this podcast is all about.
And that's what it is, man. That's what all of them are, and that's what we should be doing. Like just having the conversation, and I go back to and thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. I love your logo. I dig the logo. It is awesome. I
Thank
absolutely love.
you.
That's one of the great pieces. But like we should just be having good conversations with each other. This was the gift of COVID. If I can say one thing that came out of COVID is that we got like everybody got comfortable with being virtual. We're just there, and this just makes this super easy to be able to have these conversations. You and I otherwise wouldn't have had an opportunity ordinarily to meet, which I find that just absolutely amazing. So I'm grateful for that aspect.
Yeah, me too. Like when COVID hit, that was really honestly the only good thing about it was because I had all the time in the world to learn, talk to people online, and I found I really started listening to podcasts hardcore when COVID started, and I've got so many interests, I've got so many things I like to talk about, and I've found a lot of podcasts that I'm interested in and I follow. And I thought, well, man, that'd be a great way to learn things and meet new people. So it's like I'm gonna try it too.
Yeah, I did the same thing. My first podcast was called Embrace the Suck. And it was just me expounding upon doing the hard things you got to do so that you can get the great stuff on the other side. So there's a little bit of that, and then we've shifted into total disruption, which is me and my partner Mike, uh, having a lot of the similar conversations relative to business, but a lot of things we talk about in business are day to day stuff. That, we were
Oh
we were
yeah.
talking about kids yesterday. No.
Yeah, I listened to I think it was your first episode where you were talking about what total disruption means to you and total disruption in the business world. And I was all about that because as an unconventional guy, I don't know really anything about business. I don't know I've never really ran a business. This is my first business, and I wanted to take kind of an unconventional approach to it, and kind of what you were talking about with the total disruption, just like not go in there and destroy everything, but disrupt it a little bit and get people to think a little bit different, and ultimately have fun.
Yeah. Well, and that's that. If you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. Plain and
Right.
simple. I don't know which generation it came from. I'd love to say it came from my dad. To me, and I definitely imparted on my girls, is the find something you do that you love, you'll never work a day in your life. We've all heard that quote. I don't know where it originally came from, but it came from, I have to imagine it's probably a couple generations ago, over more than likely my grandparents thereabouts. But yeah, I look at that one. I love doing the podcast guest stuff. I love doing the show host stuff, and I love interviewing people and having those conversations because you really organically never know where you're going to end up.
Yeah,
That's the
absolutely.
fun part. It's not scripted. Even though I talk about, in sales, and when we talk about that stuff, I talk about scripting all the time. But these conversations are not. We didn't get on here beforehand and say, okay, this is what he's going to say. This is what he's going to say. Now I'm going to say this. And we don't have a script that we're rocking off of. So that's what makes these a lot of fun for me is that ability to ad lib a little bit, and not be so restricted there. So yeah, they're just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree. Like, so when I go to meet new people, and that's an instant conversation starter as well. Like, oh, what do you do? Well, I'm actually a stay-at-home dad, but I moonlight as a podcast host. And they're like, "Oh, tell me more about that." And I'm like, "Well, I've been a stay-at-home dad." No, no, not that. The podcast stuff. Yeah,
Right.
I've been a stay-at-home dad for the last 10 years, and that's one of the things that like I wanted to talk to you about was your experiences in Wyoming. I've never been there, but we travel all over the place, and as a stay-at-home dad, I couldn't imagine my life without traveling. And when I saw some of your pictures, I was like, man, that is so gorgeous. I got to make it out that way. And I did look it up. We're only about 12 hours out. So, like, from where you live, we're about 11 hours.
Yeah, that's a decent day run. Even
Yeah.
and it, like we've moved a lot. Like if you've looked at me or you followed me at all, you know that we have migrated around quite a bit looking for new things. We've lived in and out of Wyoming multiple times. My girls were born in Colorado, literally right the other side of the border. If I had a better arm, I could throw and hit where they were born. I don't. I'm not a ball player. But they're right there close to Colorado. And we spent 10 years in Alaska too. So we were able to do
Wow.
that, which was absolutely amazing. And that's during the time I actually got about a year. I got to be a stay-at-home dad and I got to homeschool my girls. And they'll tell you they hated it. They'll tell you it was the worst thing ever, but they were also teenagers. Like they were at that particular age. My wife refers to it as the days of darkness and evil. And just and it's where they were. Like we were all teenagers. We were
Oh
moody,
yeah.
plain and simple. And I didn't expect different from the girls, but that was an amazing time. I loved being a stay-at-home dad and doing the homeschool stuff. We'd get in the wood shop, and we did a for music. We got in the shop and we built spirit flutes, Native American spirit flutes. Went down, carved them out, hollowed them out, tuned them, did all the stuff for a music class that we were doing. And I still have them. That was an absolute ball. And we got to compete in I don't even know what it was called. It was like a physics challenge that the school district put on, and they had to build bridges and towers out of popsicle sticks and toothpicks and stuff. And we got to go do that. And just I had a ball. I'm not gonna lie. I had a ton of fun doing that. And some of my fondest memories with the girls of being able to do that. And we got to run hard for those couple of years because we weren't restricted. I didn't have to be at a 9 to 5. That
Yeah.
here's where you got to be. The girls didn't have to be at a 9 to 5 in school, so we were able to. We explored Alaska hard for about 10 years. I mean, given the joke is there's only one road in Alaska, and north to south, but we saw it all. I mean, we made sure we went to every place we could go, and we still do that. We do it within Wyoming. We've done it through Colorado, and that I think comes from my dad. That's what we did on Sunday. Like we burned vehicles up. We would drive so much. We would just go and explore and see roads. And at one point, we were almost positive we'd seen every single road in Colorado. Like we had gridded it out and literally driven all of them at one point when I was a kid. I just kept doing that with the girls and just taking them places and showing them new things and showing them new places. And I guess that's what I believe my job is as a dad. Like I think that, you can call yourself the father figure, or you can call yourself the dad. I look at them as two different people. And that father figure is kind of that disciplinarian role model individual. And the dad is the guy that's like, my job's to open as many doors as I can for my girls. Open them all, open every door. They're going to walk through that door. I'm going to open more doors on the other side of it. I'm positive that's my job. Did I open the right doors? No. Well, time will tell, and they're going to tell me if that was, but they have choice. They have choice.
Yeah.
I'm not, you're gonna do this. If they wanted to play a sport, we let them play a sport. Yeah, my youngest daughter wanted to play soccer when we were in Alaska. Seems kind of odd, but yeah, she wanted to play soccer while we were in Alaska, and they didn't have a coach. Now, I was a soccer player in high school. I was never a coach, but in order for them to have a team, they needed a coach. So I got to step in and coach for like, I don't know, 5 years so that she could have a soccer team. And because of that entrepreneurship that I've been in for so long, that gave me the opportunity to do it, to just really be able to be present at that time and dig in and do those things.
Yeah, a lot of people I talk to really envy the time that I have with my children. And sometimes it's a blessing, but sometimes it's a curse. I've been kind of complaining about it this week, in particular, because it's summer break, and man, I'm just tired. And sometimes we as parents, like, we can't be honest because of societal norms or whatever. And like, I'm telling you what, this summertime has just beaten me down with these kids because I don't have a whole lot of patience like I used to with the older ones. And with the younger one, I just have all the patience in the world, but we live in the city, and that's a big advantage to where you are and how your kids grew up and how you grew up yourself, is having those challenging environments to just go out and have adventures. Now, like, we live on the edge of town. So like me and my kids could just, like, then that's what I call them, like, adventures. We could just take off in the woods or whatever, and but it only lasts so long, and I have difficulty. They look to me to keep them occupied.
Mhm.
So I'm like, what do we do today? Well, it's too hot to really go outside and play. Well, let's see what we can find to do inside, and then it just turns into a free for all, and then nobody's happy, and it just, oh, it's wearing me out this week in particular. But you had talked about, like, teaching your daughters how to, carve the flutes and stuff like that. And that's amazing. And that's really, I don't homeschool. I'd let, the public school system, for whatever reason, take care of that for me. But it's more my arena to, like, I don't know. I'm one. That's the show name, Coffee with Bearded Bad Dad, is because I'm kind of an unconventional parent. I don't. I like to teach the kids to not just not really question everything, but continue learning and strive to be better every day. I like to teach them how to think, not what to think.
Mhm.
And if I can get them to think creatively about anything, it will help them later on in life.
I totally agree with you on that. And it's a teaching them how to think. Now it's different for where they are now, and it's even a little bit different. My girls, when they were smaller and I had to entertain them, we were just coming into data plans on cell phones and a lot more technology driven. So we were just getting the flavor of that. Versus now, I've got godsons, and I think they've been crafted as technology natives, is what they're called, as technology
Yes.
natives. And they don't, it is challenging for them to function without a device, something that they're always checking. And we know it too. I always do. One of my books I wrote about doing basically not a purge, but getting away from it all, putting it down. And I do it every year and coming up on it. September is usually my month for no technology, just like I put it down and I get away from it. It's a detox. It's weird. Like I will be looking, like I'll be wanting to pick my phone up. I don't have it. Like it's not even near me or local, but I'm reaching for the dumb thing. So the kids are used to that. They're used to a bit of instant gratification from, oh, I'll just flip through YouTube, I'll watch a video, I'll grab 20 podcasts, I'll do whatever I need to do. So it's a different way to teach them now how to think and do those things. And I think that's a massive challenge for everybody, whether you're in wherever you are, whether you're out in the country or you're in the city or whichever it's going to be, is how do we take back like some of the stuff where we were kids, right? I was never inside. I did not have a phone. We didn't
Right.
have Google. We didn't have any of that stuff. It was outside. You wanted it. You had to build it. We were on bikes. I mean, I was thinking about yesterday that, and you said, hey, it's too hot to go out and play. I was thinking about that yesterday when I was a kid.
It wasn't that we didn't know what too
It
hot
wasn't too hot
was.
to go out and play because we didn't have AC.
Yeah, we
Like,
didn't have AC
yeah,
either.
yeah, there was no, so hot was hot. It really didn't matter. I'd go out and ride my bike 10 hours a day, nonstop, 100-degree heat, come back just burnt to a crisp. And I think about that and I make the joke all the time. I'm like, I remember I used to be tougher. I remember I used to be tougher. And I think about that with my girls too.
Oh,
Uh,
I can do it. I can sit out there all day long. And as a matter of fact, I smoke cigarettes, so I smoke outside. I can be out there all day long and be fine. It's just like when I have to entertain the kids out there, I'm just like, man, I don't want to run. I don't want to play. I don't want to do any of that stuff. If I've got a job to do, like mowing the lawn or doing some yard work or whatever, I don't mind doing that. But I just don't, I don't want to go out and climbing trees and play in creeks and stuff at almost 40 years old now. And that's what my kids should be doing,
Well,
I have a 15-year
well,
old.
yeah, did we ever ask our parents to entertain us when we were kids? Like,
No,
if we did, we got a boot in the butt, and it was, go outside and find something to do. That
right.
was the answer. We were in a different space that we had to figure it out. We had to self-entertain.
Yeah.
You had to build stuff. You had to learn to fold paper airplanes. We had to do a little of that. And some of it, as we're having this conversation, I'm thinking about that is, have we taken that as adults and as parents? Have we taken some of that responsibility away from our kids by not just telling them go out and play? Go figure it out. There you go. Go figure it out. Like I'm thinking about that right now, and there's various age groups that I know. If I took one of those kids, walked them out the front door at the ranch, and said, "There you go. There's the acreage. Go figure it out. Find something fun to do." They'd look like a deer in the headlights.
Yeah, you
They
ever
would.
seen that movie Grown Ups?
Yes, I love that movie.
Yes, that's kind of how my kids are when I put them outside. Now, my 5-year old, now he's different. Like we call him a COVID baby. Like he's a little wild. He also has autism, so he's quite a bit different than the rest of the kids in that I I'm more patient. I'm quite a bit more patient with him, and I understand a lot more with this one. And this is um, my 5-year old is the child that I've spent the most time with. I have been a stay-at-home dad for the last 10 years, but my kids are all older. So it's like it isn't a challenge with him to keep him busy, but with my older kids, it was always a challenge. Now I've got two kids over the age of 20 now, and I've got one child who's turning 15 in October and then a 5-year old. And so I still struggle with letting them go and do their own thing, and like I should have let them play outside more when they were younger by themselves and just encouraged the outdoor play and not done what they wanted to do all the time, and just snatch away that screen sometimes. So I had a podcast a couple weeks ago, a live podcast that I did by myself about screen time and trying to get the kids away from screens. And so far I haven't done very good on that because it's a constant challenge because like the week that I started it, I just became really busy. And the easiest thing to do is say, here, go off by yourself for a little bit and I'm going to go work. And I think a lot of us fall into that trap of just it's because it's convenient and so we don't have to argue and fight. And
Yeah.
that's a constant struggle for me. And I have to constantly be aware of, hey, wait a minute, what am I actually telling them to do? I should just, if I want them to leave me alone, I should just be honest. Like, hey, just leave me alone. Let me go over here and do this. I don't really care what you do, but it'd be awesome if you weren't on a screen.
Yeah. And that's the truth of it is, and that's the same with me when I was a kid, the TV became a little bit of my babysitter. We did the same thing with the girls. Like the Disney movie VCR was one of my favorite things in the world. It's like, okay, I need a little bit of me time. I'm going to plug in this movie. You guys are going to sit here and watch it. And I used it. I used it for that tool. Excuse me. It is hot and dry today. Let me tell you.
It's hot and moist here.
Yeah, it is dry today. I am concerned about it, but yeah, I mean, from as parents, we're all doing me is who I am in all the letters that are behind my email signature that I don't even remember what half of them are anymore, from designations and certifications anymore. Like one of the things I know is true. We're all doing the best that we can with what we have. Plain and
Yeah, there
simple.
we go.
Here, and everybody has access to every conceivable resource every other person has. So when we're looking at we just have to plug in and do it. Now, being a parent's work. like plain and simple. I don't know who wrote the lie originally of, oh, we're going to have kids and it won't change anything. Wow, what an exciting lie that was, we told ourselves and heard. It changed everything about our universe. And I think that was part of it is we had kids and we tried to like mold them into what we had previously built versus it's different now. Like
Yeah.
it's no longer me, it's now us in order to do this. So I mean, the gifts for me was I did grow up, and you know the description I always got is that I grew up feral. I really did. I grew up. That's the best word I can give you. I mean, I was a dirty, grubby kid. I was outside all the time, 24/7. Had to be drug into the house, and not because my parents ignored me at that time. By no stretch, that was the imagination. They gave me all the freedom I needed in the universe. So I've had the ability to pull on that experience, be able to give that to the girls and say, you know what, you're going to have to figure it out today. You're going to have to entertain yourself, or I want you to go build this thing. And a lot of times, all kids hate chores. I don't care what it is. That you just use that. That is a dirty four-letter word that kids just, oh, you say chores and they're slumping and dragging and being that way. But if we can give it to them as a project, even something we can work together, that yeah, everything can be a learning experience for them as long as we don't tell them it's going to be a learning experience. Like, just don't set that expectation that way. They're going to show up a little better
Yeah.
to the project versus if, you know, okay, today we're going to work on it. You're going to learn this. Nah, they don't want anything to do with that. But I've had to learn. I've had to evolve. I've had to become different in order to hang with my girls, in order to do certain things. And they are walking different paths altogether. I wish that my girls were much more similar to each other than they are, so that it would be easier to, you know, to operate them, I guess is the easiest way to say that. But they like deliberately have tried to be different people. Like they started diverging and intentionally. Like my youngest daughter follows more of my interests, wants to do what I'm doing, you know, does more of the outdoor lifestyle. You know, she shoots a bow and she does all that. My older daughter tried it and said, nope, this, she likes this, so therefore I don't. And she marched the other way. So she'll go fishing to go sit on the boat is what she'll do. Like she wants to sit on the back of the boat and kick her feet in the water. That's what she wants to do to hang out, and that's cool. And she is not an outdoorsman. She's not a hunter. She's not that person. She's happy to raid the freezer. Like she's all about eating the meat. She's perfectly happy taking the meat out of the freezer. She just doesn't want to know how it got there. Like she's okay with that. My other daughter is on the other end of that. She wants to help put it there. You know, she's like, I'll eat some of that, but she'll eat chicken nuggets before she'll go in there and get a milkshake out of the freezer. So it's so interesting the dynamic that they've decided to change over the course of their lives, and it's still true today. I mean, they just turned 26 and 27. They are still my girls. They're still, and I don't know that I will ever get past them being my kids. And this is a really hard one that we're dealing with right now. I mean, it's really a struggle bus because they're doing things in their world, and we want to help them, we want to protect them, we want to do certain things for them, and yet they're completely viable adults. You think about what we were doing at 26 and 27. I didn't have a handler. You know, I
Yeah.
didn't have an operator at that age. I was freewheel doing what the stuff I was doing. I was working, I was starting a family, we were doing a lot, and I look at my girls, I'm like, yeah, maybe I'm sheltering. Maybe their growth is hindered because I'm putting some limitations on them myself because I'm trying to protect them. So I'll own that. You know, I'll happily own it. We're working on getting over that. So that's why I want to talk about it, because if you put it into the world, I can make it happen that way, and the audience can hold me accountable, making
I,
sure I'm.
that's what it's all about, right? I mean, so the show's name, Coffee with Bearded Bad Dad. I I'm not a bad dad, and I don't think I'm a bad dad. I'm a good dad, but I'm not a perfect dad, and that's where the name comes from. Is because I have I have my quirks. I've made my mistakes, and there's no such thing as a perfect child, but there's no such thing as a perfect parent either. And I I've come across many, many, many young parents, young parents, especially recently, that just have no guidance. They have nobody they can come to and be like, "Hey, this is what's happening," and help me through it by just reassuring me everything's going to be okay. And I've had a couple people reach out to me and say, I feel like I'm a terrible parent and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm just like, hey, we all have our moments. We're all human. And when they give you that baby at the hospital, they say, here, try not to kill it, and then they just
Operators.
send you home. Yeah, they just send you home. And
Yeah.
there's no operator's manual, like you said. There's no books. I mean, there is books, but you know, they those books are written by people just like us. We have a better chance at who knows our kids better than we do. There's nobody. And as you're touching on it a little bit, your children are older, and man, nobody told us, nobody prepared me for what it was like to have adult children. Nobody told me how scary that shit is going to be. I'm terrified for my older kids right now. They're out there. So my daughter is 21 and my oldest son is 20. And they are at their point in their young lives where nothing is easy. Like I remember 20, 21 years old, nothing was easy. Paying rent wasn't easy. Making car payments wasn't easy. Taking care of the kids wasn't easy. None of it was easy. But it seems like it's worse on the generations coming up now because they I don't know if they were prepared for what life was going to throw at them, especially financially.
No, I totally agree with you. I don't think they are. I don't think they were set up, and I don't think they could have been. I honestly don't think they could have been because if you look at how our economy is evolving and growing and moving, that is such a machine that like 5 years ago, it was still very plausible for a 21, a 20-year-old, 25-year-old buy a house.
Yeah.
Just go up, on the money they were making. But we had some interesting things happen in the real estate market, and real estate prices went way up. But wages did not. Wages are still down here. They can only afford, they could afford $150,000 house, but all the houses shot up to 300, 400, 500,000. So they can't afford that now. Rents also follow. So now that's why we're seeing a lot of kids are living in their parents' basement longer. Well, they have to. They
Yeah.
can't, nothing they can afford out there. I mean, they're making 15 bucks an hour. And I look at that and there was a time when I was 19, 20 years old, and that's been a minute ago, that $15 an hour was a lot of money. Like that was a great year. $20,000 a year. That was a career. Well, they're still making $20,000 a year now, but the cost of living is so far beyond it. And I feel you there. Like it's
Yeah.
horrifying. This is the conversation we're having with my girls right now of how do we facilitate it? How do we help them do it? Because who's going to do it if not us? And we're helping them figure it out. I don't want to see them working 2 and 3 jobs just to be able to survive. That's not abundance. I mean, that's survival mode. Ugh. Like no, and you and I both remember it. It was hard, hard, hard. And I think we're trying to insulate them from that. We don't want to see our kids go through that same struggle. How can we possibly make it less painful? That's where we're at. I mean, short of having them move back in, because I will tell you, we've had them move back in with us for a couple months, 3 months here as adult children. That's not fun for anybody at that point. Like you think it's going to be, it's not. They're
You
they're
think it's
vi-
going to be like a giant slumber party, but no, it's really not. Like my adult son just moved out of the house recently, and I- I'm telling you what, I didn't want him to go. I was like, please stay here. Please save your money. You're not ready to move out. Please stay here. And he's like, Dad, I just got to get out. There's not enough room for me, and I just want to have my friends over. And he actually, my studio was in half of his bedroom. So he was sleeping in the garage, and he wanted a little bit more space. This is we got 987 square feet here. And you were mentioning like housing prices went up and up and up. We paid 135 for this house in January. And that was basically because we've been living in it for 10 years. And the guy we bought it from has been one of the greatest landlords we've ever had. So he's like, "Hey, you want to buy the house?" I was like, "Do I?" So,
Right.
um, he was out here in the garage. And when he made that decision to move out, it was just like, okay, what's your plan? Do you have a plan? And he's like, nope, I'm just going. And I had a hard time just letting him go, but I was like, he's an adult. He's going to make his own mistakes. And that's pretty much how I had to do it as a young fella. I had to just go and experience things, just go my own way. And he's not doing too great, but he's not doing too bad either. So I I guess I did something right. He's not, he's not knocking on the door to come home. So
And you're giving him the space to learn. You're giving him the space to do the stuff. He's armed with the best tools. You did the best you could with what you had at hand, and now he's got to learn that too. And that's what it is to just grow. We've got to use the resources at hand, and there's got to be some times that we've got to do the critical thinking and figure it out. And there it is. It's scary, scary, scary as a parent, and it's also wildly rewarding. Like it should scare us. Like it should scare us to death because if that's where my old podcast comes from. That's where the new one comes from. If you're not doing something that scares you every day, you're probably not growing. If you're living that comfortable and in that space, you're probably not growing. So good for him for like, yep, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So that's awesome. I don't know him and I'm proud of him for like stretching into that space because it's scary and good for him for making his own way, man. That's awesome.
yeah, my daughter, she's actually my daughter is actually married, and she has her first baby and my grandbaby. He's awesome. But it's tricky. The relationship, I have to kind of dance a dance with the older kids, and I have to remember that they are different people. And my daughter's doing great. She's out there living life. And she's not she's got some issues just like everybody else does. So she's not perfect, like, nobody is, but she's got that part down. There's other areas that she needs guidance and love and father advice and stuff. And then I have to remember like to switch my hat around when I'm talking to the kids. And it's like you said, they're wildly different. And sometimes in spite of each other that they're different. And man, it is crazy how the things that we deal with as parents are somewhat similar. And we always think that, hey, I wonder if I'm alone in this. And it's obvious like everybody's got we're all, people. And it's exciting to talk to another dad, like 12 hours away in Wyoming. I've never been to Wyoming, and it's exciting to hear another father that's actually having a lot of the same issues that I am with the letting go. Like, yeah, I resonated with maybe I'm sheltering them, and I sometimes I just got to let them go. And with my boy, it's like, okay, well, I've explained this to you already, and you're still not. Maybe you need to figure it out. It's a difficult dance sometimes, but I think and this also touches on something that you talk about on Total Disruption, like hard conversations. And just because conversations are difficult doesn't mean they don't need to be had. I say that all the time with my kids. And when you've got an issue, you go right at it and you take care of that issue. That way it doesn't become a problem.
You have to address what's at hand. You can't let that stuff fester. One of the tricks that I've done with my girls, I'm going to use this. I've had to come to a place because I'm an executive business coach. Like I'm a business strategist. I'm a professional coach. I coach huge executives and corporations, and basically people pay me to tell them what to do. Like that's what it comes right down to. And I'll have to ask the girls. They'll come to me and they're like, "Hey, I want to talk to you about this." I'm like, "All right, who do you want to hear from today? Are you looking for the father sympathetic ear? You just want somebody to be empathetic, hear what you're going to say, get it off your chest, and don't solve it, don't fix it. Do you want dad who is going to try to fix it, or do you want the coach that's going to step in and go, okay, here's what I hear you saying. What do you think you need to do next? Like, who do you want to hear from?" And we had to set that ground rules of who do you want to hear from. Like they come to me with a thing and they're like, "All right, I need to hear from dad." Or I need you to coach me on this. Like they have permission to do it. So now I can show up in the right context. I can show up the right way because very frequently with my girls, I will not show up as the right guy. Like as dad, that protector guy, I want to try to fix it. Like that's my nature as a dad. I want to fix it. And
I
sometimes the
think
girl
it's a guy thing.
it's a guy thing, yeah. And sometimes that's not what they want. So I've given them permission. They come to me and they start talking. And I'm like, "All right, hold the phone. Who am I? Like, of the three people, who am I? You're this guy. Great. I'll listen to it in that context and we'll roll forward." So
I
it
have that
really,
issue with my wife. Like I ask my wife, so my wife is my editor, so oftentimes I talk to her through the podcast, and so my I have that issue where I'll ask her, "Man, how was your day?" And she'll just start telling me about her day, and then instead of listening to her and digesting what she's saying, I'll be thinking of fixes in my head. And like I'll blurt it out. And she's like, "Well, whether she doesn't really call it out or point it out as I'm doing it. I subconsciously do that myself, but I know like just talking to her from the next day when she tells me how her day went, that she wouldn't have taken my advice had I given it to her, if that makes sense. Like I am constantly walking that line with my wife is, "Hey, do you want do you want some advice or do you want me to just listen?" And
and it's the right question. That's the right question. What do you want? Do you want me to hear you, or do you want me to, you want advice on how to fix it? Like when you ask that question, as dumb as it sounds, like some people are probably thinking, "Oh, why would I ask that question?" Because now we're communicating. We're having the conversation we need because if I'm in the right mental place, I'm actively listening. I'm not listening to respond. I'm listening to understand what's going on. However, if they're like, "I got a problem, I need you to fix it." Awesome. I can throw the tool belt on. We can figure that one out. I can listen from that perspective because I'm going to have a response when we get there.
yeah, so you mentioned coaching a lot, and I don't do a whole lot of coaching myself because I self-deprecate a lot, and I have self-confidence issues. So I try not to be a coach per se, like follow me or do these things. I try to be more of like a it's funny that you were mentioning fixer and talking about which guy do you want, because with my son, my older son, I know that that fixer is what he wants automatically. That's when he's talking to me, it's because he needs something, wants something, or wants advice, needs advice. He doesn't call me just to chat. "Hey, dad, what's up?" And so my daughter will. And so that's funny that you said, like, I never really thought about like asking that question, but maybe I should, because that would give some clarification to the situation. Like, does she really want me to give her my advice, or should I just shut up and listen? I dig that. Yeah.
Keeps me out of a ton of trouble when it comes right down to it. It is self protection for one, but then ever since I started doing that, like my relationship with the family has changed. It's different, and it's everybody will agree it's better. It's just better. Ever since I made that conversation to just like not make it about me. plain and simple. Just not make it about me. It's about them. And it's like, all right, awesome. Well, who do you need today? Who is it? You know, of the three mental hula hoops we're gonna play with, which one do you want? And they're gonna, yep, I need you to coach me on this. This is a business thing. Or both my girls are entrepreneurs as well. My wife is too. So if it's a business thing, they're like, okay, I need you to coach me on this. Or I just need you to listen, don't fix anything. Like I just need to unpack this. Well, we can do that too. So it's been that's been wildly beneficial.
I find sometimes that as we're talking, that sometimes they just need to work stuff out in their own head, and they just need to voice it verbally to
Mhm.
kind of process what's going on. That happens to like almost everybody I know. And
Oh, yeah.
I don't do it so much like because I do so much self-reflecting and man, I spend a lot of my time alone. And sometimes it feels like podcasting is really kind of lonely because I have to spend so much of my time talking to people and researching and stuff like that. I don't really necessarily have time to be present all day, every day. And so that's a difficult fine line to walk as well. But I find the most gratification out of just uh, being present and like being there for my loved ones and like if they need like nobody really ever needs anything from me now. Now the situation was totally different about 5 years ago, but it, I I like to just be there present in my kids and my wife's life. And I think about and I process things as I'm saying it to them as well. And you said it really good that, you know, it's not about us. And like as they're talking, maybe I just need to think like, hey, it's not about me. It's about whatever is going on or whatever they're talking about. And that is a good point, man. I do tend to think of like things and then make them all about me or relate it to myself when I'm talking to them. And that's probably less than helpful.
That's human nature. Now, give ourselves a little grace for it. That's human nature. That's how we do it. And it's just a moment of being purposeful, right? Making that decision of this isn't about me. This is what do they need today? And there's so so I'll leave you with this one. This is what changed my entire business was when I decided it wasn't about me. So I used to get up in the morning and I'd be like, so what can I do for this client? That was the standard question. We ask that and we think it's a servant's heart thing. So it could be the same with your kids. You know, what can I do for my girls? What can I do for my wife? It's the wrong question because that question's about you, right? It's still about what can I do for them? You change the question. You go, what do my girls need today? What does my wife need today? Now I have to switch my brain into a capacity of thinking from their perspective to be able to do it, to answer the question a different way. That had more impact on changing the trajectory of my life and business than almost anything else I can think of. Of just that moment of changing the question from what can I do for you instead of what is it you need from me today? Because I have to put you first.
That's awesome. So like in I'm gonna direct everybody to Total Disruption, your podcast page. I'm gonna link that in the description. Um, but I wanted to talk about Total Disruption as well. I wanted to touch on that a little bit because man, I come at it from a very unconventional place. Like I'm uneducated. I say uneducated. I don't have a formal education. Um, I I'm a high school dropout, but I got my GED. But I'm very intuitive. I'm very intelligent as far as the world and what I want. I have that empathy factor where I can see myself in other shoes a lot. And when you're talking about total disruption, shaking things up in the business world, that resonated with me because I am I'm very not by the book. You know, I curse a lot. I have a full beard and, you know, tattoos and piercings and I wear no matter where I'm at, I'm wearing a ball cap. And if I go to a business meeting, like people dress up for business meetings If I was to, I, my dressing up is jeans and a t-shirt. That's just me. That's who I am. And as a business person, that's how I'm going to run my business. I'm going to be comfortable, and my employees, if I ever get to that point, are going to be comfortable. And I take a very unconventional approach as to like education isn't the end all be all. Like experience for me is more than anything. And if a person comes to me like with this whole podcasting thing, if a person comes to me and they're like, "Oh, you know, I'd really love this job. I'd really love this opportunity, but I don't have any experience." Well, come on aboard. Let's get you some experience. Let's see what you can do. And that way you're starting with a blank slate. You can really train them to be however you want them to be. And if they're willing to go along for the ride, why not?
Yeah. So you used one of my most hated words ever. That's like language is my thing. I'm an NLP guy, neuro linguistics programming. So that's a course that I took. Anybody gets a chance to do it, go do it, man. It's just a ton of fun. It's all neurochemistry stuff, how your brain works. Like it's the first 15 minutes is brutal because it's all like medical terminology. I thought it was in the wrong class altogether, way over my head, but it got so good beyond that. So one of the words you used, and I would encourage you to change it. You said, I want to be comfortable. That's not true. You want to be authentic. You want to be authentic
Yes,
with who you are. Because like we can't grow in comfort. If you're just in comfort, you're not going to grow in comfort. Like you need to be a little uncomfortable, and that's where the total disruption comes from. Like you're being authentic. I know some massive hitters within the industry that you look exactly like them. You are dressed the same way. You've got the beard, the t-shirt, the hat. I know a billionaire real estate mogul that runs one of the biggest real estate companies in the world. That when he comes out on stage to speak, he's in a t-shirt and Vans. Like that's what he wears when he gets on stage in front of everybody because that's authentically who he is. Periodically, you'll see him put on a jacket, very rarely, but that's authentically who he is. I know the previous president of that company used to wear ball cap all the time, wore it all the time. Currently, one of the companies that I'm head of coaching for he is a massive CEO with ball cap every day, every single day. He wears t-shirts with slogans on them. Doesn't matter. But that's who he authentically is. And I look at that. I'm not different. I'm not different. It is rare. And inside, I'm not wearing my cowboy hat. Almost all the time, you will see me with a hat. Most people do not recognize me because authentically, I have a baseball cap on. Usually says Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation on it because I support them at a high level. Or I have my cowboy hat on. That's what I'm wearing. That's what I'm doing. Some days I don't wear it. I'm inside. I don't need sheltered from the sun at the moment, so I don't need my cowboy hat on. Be authentic. Be who you're going to be because that's where your business is going to grow the fastest. And that's one of the things we do. We talk about total disruption. That's my show. You can find that on E360 TV. Airs every Tuesday. I'm still getting used to the time. Because I've got people I coach in the Eastern Standard, Mountain, Pacific, Central, all of it. It's so hard to
oh,
chase time.
it's a pain in the ass. Like
It's
right
a
now, I'm in
pain.
Central, and you're in
Yeah,
Mountain,
we're
and
Mountain. Yeah, so we air 4 p.m. Pacific. So 4 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. There we go. I got them all right. On Tuesday nights on E360 TV, and it looks like a podcast, it tastes like a podcast, it smells like a podcast. We just happen to be on a TV network, and we're having those conversations that are this conversation relative to what are the small incremental changes in your universe you can make that have a massive impact on your results. So that in of itself, the change from comfort to authentic will have a huge change because that's one of the reasons like you and I connected and had that conversation because I believe that you are authentic and your brand represents you represent your brand, you are traveling the right road there, and you're doing the work, you're putting in the work, you're having the conversations you want to have. That's what being disruptive is. Like you're not following social dynamics of what society tells you need to do. You're going the right way.
thank you very much. That means a lot. I so I that is a good point. Like comfortable versus authentic. You're very right. And I to touch on that a little bit. You know what makes me really makes me really comfortable? is being uncomfortable. For some reason, I have ADHD and I have high anxiety, and for whatever reason, that high anxiety moment, like first getting on here when we first joined up to talk, it was like that moment right there is what podcasting is all about for me. That it gives me a rush, it gives me that energy, and I'm all the time doing uncomfortable things to get that feeling and that rush, which makes me comfortable. And so like I really like that authentic, not comfortable, authentic, because that really is who I am. And I said it as I was talking about being comfortable. That's who I am. That's how I am. And I go to funerals like this. I wherever, like, just dress just like this. And I am who I am. I try not to, obviously I self-censor sometimes when, depending on where I'm at, if I'm at a
Sure.
funeral,
We
I
all
don't want to,
do.
I don't want to cuss a bunch or, start a fight or something, obviously. But so I self-censor myself in that way, but I'm genuine.
Mhm.
And that's pretty much the way I live my life. Is I like to be honest no matter who I'm talking to, whether it's with my kids, with you, with my friends, but most importantly with myself. And that's how I hold myself accountable, is because I say I'm the most honest person that I know. Like I'll have a conversation with you, off air, obviously, with about personal things. I'm that guy. I don't really care. I don't have anything to hide. I The more honest I am, it prevents people from using that as a weapon. Does that make sense?
It's easier to keep the story straight too. Much
Absolutely.
like that's the truth is black and white. And absolutely, when you're muddling around in the gray areas, that's hard to keep that straight. But I mean, and again, that's where the authenticity comes from. What do we know is true? How are we being honest? And from that perspective, you're following your core values. What you believe is your core values and your truth. You're demonstrating it for your viewers and your audience. You're demonstrating it for your kids and your family. Every single thing we do, somebody's watching. Every single thing we do, somebody's watching. And that's the other reason that I love doing podcasts and I love doing shows is if I reach one person out of this episode, one person of your audience goes, "Oh man, shit, he's right. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the space right there." I don't have to know I did it. That's not what I'm doing it for, but somebody is going to pick something up and they're going to go, and it's going to change the trajectory of their life. It's going to change the trajectory of their life. You never know when that's going to happen. Like you can open the door for somebody walking into Starbucks and smile and say hello and good morning. And it does something for you. It's an endorphin rush. You feel good that you did a cool thing, but you make eye contact and you smile and you say, "Hey man, good morning. I hope you have a great day." That person might have got up in a horrible space. Like everything might have been wrong. And all of a sudden it like, "Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay." You might have kept him, you might have prevented a car crash. You have no idea. So just being that honest, authentic person and coming from genuine value, absolutely. That's how we change lives.
Yeah, I was just talking about that with one of my last guests, David Bartley.
Mm-hmm.
He's uh he's an interesting guy. I was speaking with him and he was talking about all of that, and it man, that's great that like more than one person saying that, it's there's got to be something to it.
There is. There absolutely is, man.
Well, Jacob, I think we're at that point where it's a little hot in the studio, man. I'm sweating and I need a
Yeah,
break.
yeah, I haven't had my office open today for about three. It's hot here too.
It's
Well, I'm
we're
right
so
there.
it's air conditioned, but like I said, it's in my garage and it's like 90 degrees outside and my air conditioner set on like 71, 72, somewhere around there. But it gets hot out here in the garage and there's no air moving because I'm recording. So it's man. but we touched on a lot of stuff, and like that it's been a good conversation, and I love like you said, I love these podcasts because it opens up dialogue and gets people talking to each other, gets people thinking, and it's an incredible source of media. And it the more there's like 5 million podcasts nowadays, but I think this is not there's never been a better time to get into podcasting. And
Yeah, effectively, they're calling for this to be a multi-billion-dollar industry within the next 2 years.
absolutely. And we're right there for along for the ride, man.
We're in it, man. We're in it.
One more thing before I let you go. I have an alien right here behind me. So do you ever see any UFOs out there in Wyoming?
Well, yes, we see all kinds of weird stuff in Wyoming as you're just looking through the night sky and just in general. And it just depends on what your brain tells you it is. First time we saw the Elon Musk train flying through the sky, that was
Yes.
just, and we saw it like multiple days in a row. We've seen a lot of really get some amazing meteor showers. We've seen some that looked like Independence Day that have come down. I mean, those were spooky. Like we stopped the truck, got out in the middle of the night, like what are we seeing right now? So you definitely see some weird stuff. And there's plenty of untold, there's plenty of we can't explain it's that are going on out in the world. There's noises you hear in the night. My girls pick on me all the time because you probably know the movie Predator
Yeah.
with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the Predator makes a very specific noise. Said noise cannot be found in nature. And I was walking through the woods one night, and up in a tree behind me, that noise occurred. And I mean, it puckered everything on me, scared the Jesus out of me. Cannot explain what it was, no idea, never heard it before or since. And yeah, it's a trip.
Well, the reason why I ask is because like I'm of course a UFO alien nut, but that's I eat, breathe, sleep UFOs. I just love it as entertainment and stuff. But we don't get to see a whole lot of the night sky around here, and it's not. So I do live in a city, but it's not a very populated city. We're 40 square miles. We got about 75,000 people, so we're spread out. And but we live an hour north of Kansas City. And you want to talk about light pollution. It's
Mhm.
terrible here. And Wyoming has, it's pretty spread out place and there's not a whole lot of light pollution there. So,
We from our house, you have to get out a pair of binoculars to see what would be 10 miles away. There's a yard light that I can see somebody's ranch yard light 10 miles from the house. So
wow.
from our house, there's not another house you can see from anywhere on our property. So we've got amazing night skies. We
You mind
get,
if I plug some of your Facebook pictures to show our audience?
oh yeah, you can, yeah, share away, man. There's all
Because
kinds of fun.
I saw on your profile you had a picture, a few pictures from your porch of the aurora borealis.
Oh yeah, we used to get them in Alaska and they were super cool, but I've never seen them in Wyoming like that one. And it was so hard. I'm out there with my phone. I mean, we are not geared for that stuff, but we still got some really great pictures of it. That was a fun.
We barely saw a change in the night sky hue. It was like a pink purple hue, but we couldn't really see anything. Even with our phones out that were, with the better video, we couldn't see anything from where we are. And I told my wife, I think it was mainly because of the light pollution and we're so far south of where the aurora is, and it was just a shot in the dark that we were going to see it anyway. But we drove probably 20 minutes north and still couldn't see. And I looked up and I was like, babe, there's just too much light pollution. It's not dark. And she's
Yeah,
like, yeah.
and it
So
was, and they were, yeah, that was a pretty amazing show. I haven't seen one like that since we were in Alaska. And it is highly likely I won't see another one like that. That would be great.
well, Jake, I appreciate this enlightening conversation. We talked quite a bit about life, love, and pursuit of happiness. And I appreciate you stopping by, man.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Absolutely. We'll have to have you on Total Disruption. It'd be great.
Absolutely. That'd be awesome, man. And you know what? I'd actually like to invite you on again sometime, maybe in the future, like next year, when we're coming back into summer and
Yeah,
we'll after the first quarter, we'll see where everybody's at business wise.
love it. Love, be happy to do it.
Awesome. Thank you, Jake.
Thanks, sir.
Bye.